Sean Woods, April 11th, 2012, 3 o'clock at 310 Glen Avenue, and I'm interviewing my grandpa, John Woods, about his life growing up. When and where were you born?
I was born in Manhattan. That's New York, New York. And on April 11th, 1936. So this makes today my birthday.
What did your parents do for a living when you were growing up?
Well, my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and my father worked in a garage in Manhattan. Now that was a long time ago, where they used to garage cars for the wealthy class overnight, and they would have chauffeurs to bring the cars to the garage, where they would get washed and cleaned up for the next day. And then the chauffeurs would come in the next morning, take the cars out, and pick up the owners of the cars and take them to wherever they were going. Okay, so that's what my mother and father did.
How many brothers and sisters did you have growing up?
I just had one brother.
One brother.
Yep.
Describe your house growing up. Did you have any chores?
Well, the house was a 5-story apartment house with 5 apartments on each floor. It was a Irish immigrant neighborhood in the Bronx. See, I was born in Manhattan, but I was brought from the hospital to the apartment in the Bronx as an infant.
Did you guys have big meals together, or?
We always had Sunday dinner together, and in general, when we were young kids, we'd wait for my father to get home from work, and we'd all have dinner together.
Growing up in the Bronx, what did you do for fun? Like any sports or games, street games?
Most of our games were played on the street itself. We didn't have any ball fields. If we wanted to play baseball, we played in vacant lots or old park areas. We tried to go to regular parks, but the parkies would always come to kick us off. But somehow we found a lot of things to do. The street games were great. There's no television. We did have to get home. Not that it was a rule, but there were radio programs in the afternoons, starting about 4 o'clock. And if you followed they were all serials of 15 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes each. And they were pretty exciting. There was Captain Midnight, the Green Lantern, all of the comic book characters had radio programs. And some of the very famous actors had these speaking parts and went on to win Academy Awards for motion pictures. Many of them got their start in radio.
Oh, that seems cool.
Yeah.
How was your family brought up religiously?
Very religiously. We all the kids, and this went for all of the kids in this neighborhood. And the religion was a very important part of our lives. We went to parochial grammar schools. We went to Catholic high schools, and we had it was a very strict time with religion.
Any religious traditions for your family? Like maybe holidays? if you get together?
Yeah, not too much. We, occasionally went to see my aunts and uncles. We didn't have a very big family at all. Most of my relatives were still living in Ireland.
Yeah.
So we didn't see very many of them.
Yeah.
My mother and father were immigrants. They never went back to Ireland. My father came here in 1913, and he was drafted for the First World War in 1917.
Wow.
He fought in Germany, France actually, and came home.
So what was school like then? Your grammar school or high school? How was that?
For me, in particular?
Yeah, for you. Or if you want.
Or in general?
In general. Well, for you.
In particular, I was, due to a real mix-up in school, I got skipped a full grade when I was in. I went into like 2A, and I got skipped to 3A. But our 2A started in January, and the school year was broken up. Half the kids were at the same time were in 1A or 1A or 1B. So they skipped everybody. Some kids got skipped 6 months. Other kids got skipped an entire year. And that was because the school was overcrowded. And there was 2,000 kids in our grammar school.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And there was 60 in a class. That's all they would take.
So it was like high school, like the Catholic high school, was it very strict with
Depends on.
Was there nuns or?
Well, I went to Cardinal Hayes High School, and it was the first archdiocesan high school.
Oh, okay.
And we had brothers. We didn't have any nuns, but we had brothers from many different religious orders. We had priests we had diocesan priests, and we had ordered priests. So that was quite an experience. But there were 3,000 kids in Cardinal Hayes.
Yeah.
And I was younger than everybody. So it wasn't much of a social life for me.
Did you have a favorite subject growing up in high school or?
In high school, well, my favorite subject always was English. And whatever I did with my life, in terms, I became an engineer. And whatever I did in life for recognition was in science. But the part of the science that I was really good at was translating technological information into layman's terms. And that got me more than all the hard, rigorous academics that I did take.
Right. What was your first job?
My first real job, aside from delivering orders from local delis and little mini supermarkets, because there was no big supermarkets in our neighborhood. Well, my first real job was in the Yankee Stadium and Polo Grounds, selling everything from watered down orange drink to ice cream, hot chocolate, hot dogs, and if you're still working there at 18 years old, you could sell beer. And we got a commission of 11%. Now, to put it in perspective, a soda cost 10 cents. Commission was a penny. You had to sell an awful lot of soda.
Yeah.
And they were on big tanks on our backs that we had to carry around. It had a spigot and we filled up paper cups. So.
And you're the biggest Yankee fan out there, right? To this
No,
day.
I hated the Yankees. We don't forget, I worked in the Polo Grounds too. And the Polo Grounds is right across the river from Yankee Stadium. And both ballparks were about 5 to 6 blocks away from my house, our neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm a big Mets fan now. What did you do later on throughout your life as a profession? What was your...
I was an
after-
engineer.
Engineer.
I got drafted in the Army. Actually, before that, I was still going to Cardinal Hayes. The week after I turned 17, I enlisted in the New York National Guard, the Fighting 69th. Very famous for these. It was created during the Civil War, and it was an all-Irish New York regiment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a New York regiment.
Wow.
Not too many Irish people live here anymore. Then when I was 19, I pushed up my draft because everybody eventually had to go. So I pushed it up so I'd get it over with. And ended up in Germany right after the occupation of Germany. And I was there from 1955 through 57. Well, I came home when my tour of duty was up. I went to RCA Institutes for 2 years, days, and worked. I worked half days at my old job that I had before I went in the Army. When I graduated from that course, I became an electronic technician, and I went to work in our company's research laboratories.
Wow.
Well, after a few years, I decided I didn't want to be a technician because I saw that I needed more schooling. So I enrolled in college at night, and after 7 years, I had a bachelor's degree in engineering.
Engineering was tough, right? Was it
Yeah, it was tough.
It was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. But where I was working, I worked in a research laboratory. Everybody in my section was going to school. Some people were going for their GEDs, while others were going for their second PhD.
Oh, wow.
There was, we had a staff of about a little over 100 people, all engineers, scientists, and there was never a time where I couldn't get a question answered from somebody who was an expert in their field.
All right. Where did you meet your future wife? Where and how? How did you meet your future wife? My grandma.
Your grandma. I met your mother. I mean your grandma. We worked in the same company. And this is when I started in school. Well, first, even before that, when I first started working there, I was 17 years old. And she was about 19, you know? She was kind of like old. When you're 17 and women or girls are 19, that's like They didn't have the term then, but they were cougars, as far as I was concerned. I'd rather play stickball. And so I knew her and had no interest in her because she was first older, and second, I lived in the Bronx, she lived in Staten Island, which is like today's thing was like between New York and California. So I went in the Army, came back out, got my old job back, and now things were evening up a bit. I was in my 20s, and then the age difference didn't feel like much.
Yeah.
So when I was going to school, half days, I'd work half day in the afternoons and go to school from 8 till 1 in the morning, 8 till 12 in the morning. I couldn't have my old job back, my old position, because that demanded a full-time employee. So they put me in this room with 3 girls. And it was like a 12 by 12 room, no door, no door. One door, no windows. So maybe she grew on me. But I tested out all 3 of them, and she won, I guess.
When and where did you guys get married?
We started going out, and then I proposed on the ferry boat. That's romantic.
Yeah,
sure.
On the boat.
They still got ferry boats here. So we got married in St. Paul's Church in New Brighton, and because her family were parishioners. And so we got married in September, on September 24th, 1960.
Wow.
And we lived in the Bronx. I took her home to the Bronx, and we lived there for 4 years.
So then...
And then we came to Staten Island.
So why? So like obvious. Well,
because I changed jobs from one company to another, and the other company, well, the first company was in Yonkers, and the second company was in Bayonne. So that solved 2 problems, because she didn't like the Bronx too well, because she didn't know anybody, and she had a very big family here, and the company I wanted to work for was in Bayonne. It was a competitor of the one I was with. And so that solved both problems. So we moved to Staten Island.
What attracted you to neighborhood West Brighton that you still live in today?
I guess, I don't know. We were looking for an apartment. And we saw many apartments, and we liked this one. Not this one that we live in now, but well, we did. We'd lived in there for 18 years. It was just it was very nice. It happened to be in the part of Staten Island that I love best, and that's West Brighton.
Did you plan on having a big family that included 5 children?
No, you know what? In those days, most young people didn't plan on anything. You just you still had a work ethic, so that if you work hard and kept your nose clean, that you could be successful. So we started having kids. 2 were born in the Bronx, and the rest were born on Staten Island.
What is it also like now being a grandparent?
It's just great. Right now I have 5 grandkids, and it's just fantastic. to see them growing up, right from infants all the way up. Sometimes I think that, God, we didn't have time in those days to enjoy the kids as much as we'd like. And I'm sure that's even maybe more true today. So, as I said, being a grandparent is all the joys without any responsibility. It's fun.
Are you happy how everything turned out in your life? And do you have any more hopes for the future?
Like I said, we didn't plan. I never planned that well. I just took new and interesting paths during life. I was in the same industry for almost 40 years, and that came to an end because the company started changing and they let all the old-timers go. And so after 40 years in that wire and cable industry, I went to work as a consultant to Con Edison and Public Service in New Jersey for 8 more years as an engineer, and I still work part-time jobs when I can get them. I worked everything from working for the Census Bureau. That took up a few months in preparing for the 2000 census, and we had a pre and a post schedule with that. I worked for the Board of Elections on Election Day, and while I was with the last company, I was with them for 28 years. The last 10 were spent in the international division. I got to see, my territory was Southeast Asia, and that became Southeast and South Asia, which meant I was in all of the ASEAN countries. That's Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand, the Philippines, and I used to give seminars on American 5 weeks.
Wow.
One of my last assignments was I started up a cable manufacturing factory in India, and I lived there for 6 months. That was 2 3-month breaks, 2 3-month sessions with a month in between, and that was an adventure. We lived in an industrial village. That's probably a topic for another day, I guess. That was, but I guess the main thing was that a lot of people that in that company that I started with in a research laboratory went on for they stayed and played the political game, and I could never say no. Somebody just asked me, "Hey, how would you like to take a trip to Nepal next month?" Yeah, let me go. Ran home and packed my bags. So I had adventures, and great adventures, and made friends all over the world. And even though I was away from the family quite a bit, I never caught up to these guys that became vice presidents and stuff like that. I didn't make as much money as they did, but I know I had a better time. And one of the great things is that I made friends in all these countries, and I still have them.
You still keep in contact
Still
with them all?
yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Through the wonders of email.
I know you're very big on like your Irish background, so you want to explain like the ancient, like what you do with the Order of Hibernians? What's that? What that's all about?
Well, the Ancient Order of Hibernians is a Catholic fraternal organization of people who have were either born in Ireland or descended from people that were born in Ireland. In my case, my parents were born in Ireland. It's similar to any fraternal charitable organization, non-profit charitable organization, and we have a creed which encompasses Catholicism. We are defenders of the faith, literally. When the Know-Nothings were going to burn down Old St. Patrick's Cathedral in the village in the 1800s, 1830s, Archbishop Hughes, he was a bishop then, Bishop Hughes called for the Hibernians to come out, and they surrounded the cathedral, and because they were going to, the American Know-Nothing Party was going to burn the church down because they were Catholics. You see, it's today we have the oppressed minorities. We were an oppressed minority in those days. So, growing from there, we were established on Staten Island in 1872, and that's with my division. Our division is my division is John F. Kennedy Division Number 1 on Staten Island, with 3 men's divisions and 3 women's divisions. They are called the Ladies' Ancient Order of Hibernians. They don't have to be descended from Irish people. They can be a member by marriage or just joining. And they do the same good. They do the corporal works of mercy. You know, feed the hungry, cry out for justice. You know. So I'm very involved in that. I'm the past president of our division, and I'm still the financial secretary. I'm the recording secretary for the Richmond County Ancient Order of Hibernians. It's a hierarchy of offices. And just like any political party, we have the local divisions. We have the county, which encompasses the local divisions. We have a district. Our division, our district encompasses all of Staten Island and parts of Brooklyn. And we have the state. And one of our members is the immediate past president of the New York State Hibernians. There's about 36,000 Hibernians in New York State.
Wow.
It's the largest contingent, and it's the oldest.
Right. And finally, do you have any more hopes for the future?
I take online courses still, just to keep me going, my brain from turning into mush, because I'm retired. More hopes? I don't know. I hope to live as long and happy, healthy as possible. My wife passed away 9 months ago, suddenly. It's not been easy. And we were married for 50 years. And it's a new way of life. Oh, what I forgot to tell you. What I forgot to tell you is that right after grammar school, I went away for a year to a junior novitiate of the Brothers of the Christian Schools.
What was that? What was that like?
That was great. But again, I was 13, and there were 18 of us that went up. We went to a place called Barrytown, New York, and that was where the junior novitiate and the novitiates for the brothers were. And in that class of 18, to graduate from high school, junior novitiate was high school, and only 2 graduated from the high school, and well, maybe there was a few more, but only two were took the first vows or final vows as brothers. Mm-hmm. And they taught for a while, and my best friend, he lived next door to me, made it all the way and was teaching. He taught in St. Peter's High School here, at Manhattan College. He was a physicist. And he finally left. He was the last one out of that class. And he finally left the brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, tragically, he got married to a former nun, and they had like 3 kids, and then she died. Wow. At a very, in her 40s. So, but he just got married a couple of years ago, again, to another former nun. Well, that's understandable, because they, their formative years were spent in not a cloistered life, but a community life. So, hopes for the future. I hope that I live long and prosper. And I can see my grandkids achieve their wishes.
All right. So thank you, Grandpa, for spending your time, and I really appreciate it.
Okay. I hope you got a good grade.